Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the C++ tutorial. Right now, we're going to take a look at file output. Yeah, that's going to be a whole lot of fun. So, I guess one idea that me and Brian came up with that we thought would be rather interesting was while we're teaching the concept of outputting to a file, we'll teach you guys something else, which is rather useful, which is a random number generator.
Oh, yes. Let's output a series of random numbers to the screen, and then we'll write it to a file.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So
first we want to make sure we have all the libraries that we're going to use.
Yes. And we have to add 2 libraries for the randomized random number generator.
Right.
Before Brian talks to you about what I just said, I'm going to include these. There's going to be 2. The first one is going to be include a cstdlib and also include ctime.
Well, so the cstd library is it includes the random function itself. ctime includes the time function to get the current time. And we'll get like a very long form of the current time, and we'll use that as the seed to generate the random number. Now, because this is calculated, it's only pseudo-random. It's calculated based on the seed of time. So if you keep running the program, you're going to get similar numbers that kind of increment with time. And you can reverse engineer any pseudo-random number that you generate on a computer.
Yeah, it's pretty random. Now that we have those 2 libraries typed in, I'm going to bring this up a line. There's a function that I have to put in here, and it has to be inside the main function. That is the srand function. This is pretty much the randomizer.
Right. It's the seed that the equation uses to generate a random number.
Basically, what I do is it's srand, and it's a function, so it's going to have its little outer and inner parenthesis. Is a time function. And we're sending the time function as 0, and we're also making sure that it's unsigned, so it's always going to be a positive number.
Right. And that it's a very long, it can potentially be a long number.
So this essentially randomizes the random number generator.
Okay, so now that the function is randomized, we'll create a for loop that will run, let's say 10 times. And we'll block this out. And before we start the for loop, let's initialize an integer, like temp rand.
Okay, like right here?
Yep. And now in the for loop, we'll say temp rand is equal to rand. So
rand function?
So every time we pass through this loop, we'll store this there. Then we'll also want to do rand mod whatever we want to set the limit to. So if we only want to have a random number out of 10, we'll do mod 10.
Okay.
Plus 1, so it's not 0 through 9.
So, alright, this is basically what Brian's talking about. What we'll do is mod 10.
Or maybe 100. That'd be fun.
Or 100. So what this is doing is this is saying pick a random number, maximum 100.
Right, so it can only be 0 through 99 right now.
Right.
So if we want to do 1 through 100, we could do plus 1 number. So instead of going from 0 to 99, it'll go from 1 to 100.
Like that.
Yep. And on the next line, we'll just output it to the screen and do an end line.
And we'll save this one as output, because we're going to be making it output. So just pick 10 random numbers and just stuck them out there.
Yeah. So if we change that to 1,000 instead of 100, let's see what we get.
We're changing this to 1,000?
Yep. So it'll be mod 1,000. So now it's from 1 to 1,000.
So it just picks a random number.
Yep. So we got a bigger range of numbers to choose from.
All right.
Okay. So now let's try outputting this to a file.
Okay.
So now we want to create an out file stream.
I guess I'm just going to erase this now. Do we have to include anything?
We have to include the file stream library.
Fstream, right? Same one as we included for the file input.
Yep. So let's declare a new stream.
We'll do it right here below the int.
Okay. And we'll do OF stream and my stream again.
All right. Now, do I have to do this again?
Sure. Yeah, we can declare it there. All right. So now here we'll type in the name of the file we're going to open. So we'll say
out file.
That works.
.txt. So this is just saying output to a file called outfile.txt.
Right. So now every time we get one of these random numbers, kind of like the way we pipe data in, we're going to pipe data out.
Like this?
My stream. Yeah. Now we're piping it to the left to the file.
Right. So kind of like out to the screen. Now we're doing my stream out to the file.
And temp rand. And then right after that, we'll also output an end line, just to keep it clean.
Okay, so then it prints out the number and then cha-chink, puts the next number on the following line.
Right, and then just to keep things tidy, right at the end of the for loop on the next line, we'll do mystream.close. And this will close the file stream that we've opened.
Okay, excellent. So if I compile this, it should work.
We hope.
We hope. Let's compile this. Press any key to continue.
Okay. Now, since there was no couts in this, we don't actually have anything printed to the screen. So
Right.
now we'll check our file to see.
There's out file.
Oh, we got that far.
Oh my goodness.
There we go.
So we could be just as complicated as we want.
Right.
Now let me ask you a question real quick, Bri.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we were to rerun this, what would happen to the output file?
It would just append it to the output file.
Okay, so what if we didn't want that to happen? How would we get around that? Okay, so Brian, if we didn't want it to append to the end of this, if every single time we wanted it to erase the data and then rebuild the file, how do we do that?
So we'll use kind of a subproperty of this file stream open function, and that's the iOS : trunk.
I'm going to close that, and I'm going to minimize. I'm going to leave this file here, and then minimize it. All right. So you were talking about in this line right here.
So So where we actually said the name of the file, we'll add a comma in there. We'll also give it another variable for the function.
Okay.
This is going to be iOS : trunc. Trunk.
Okay, so we're basically sending another option along with the file.
Right.
And this isn't the only option. There's actually a couple other options.
Right. You could, by default, if you do the OF stream, you're actually doing an iOS : out, open it for output operations. Or if you do an IF stream, it's opening iOS : in. You can switch it to binary mode if you don't want to do it with the text file with iOS : binary. Or if you want to set the initial position at the end of the file, instead of appending it to the beginning of the file, you'll do iOS : ate, and for the opposite of that, it's : app.
All right. That sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to compile this and run it.
Okay, now let's see what our file looks like. It should be the same length.
I'm going to close that. I don't even know why that's still open. Hey!
There we go.
Does it. Let's do something really cool.
All right, so yeah, let's
make it like 1,000,000.
All right.
1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're gonna make 1,000,000
now,
numbers.
So instead of mod 1,000, let's do like mod 9,999.
So we're gonna pick a rather big number 1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
Let's see how long this program takes to run.
All right.
F9.
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, so look at that. It's taking some time to run through. Oh, how long did that take?
I'd say maybe 10 seconds, if that.
Wow. That's
Although
really cool.
I couldn't write it that fast.
So we created a 5.59 megabyte file.
Beautiful.
Now it's taking a minute to load here.
It probably won't open a notepad since it's that big.
How many pages do you think 1,000,000 lines is?
I don't know, quite a lot.
Oh my goodness!
There we go.
We have 1,000,000 lines.
That's one hell of a long file. So if you ever want to do some analysis on the random function of C++ and how not random it is, what you could do is you could take a file like this, and then you could write another program that outputs pixels to the screen, and you could just do a scatter plot of all these numbers. And if you look at a scatter plot that has a wide enough range, you'll start seeing a pattern in the dots.
Well, would it be kind of stupid? And this is just kind of like for me, and hopefully for somebody that's watching this tutorial and wants to kind of take it a step further, and I've always been that kind of person. I've always wanted to take things a step further. Well, can we do something silly like make a file that generates 1,000,000 numbers, and let's analyze that data somehow? Like, let's get numbers that are, I don't know, divisible by 2, and just kind of like count how many numbers are divisible by 2.
All right, and see how close to 50% it is.
Right.
Okay.
So we can see if maybe, because this will also kind of introduce some people to maybe the concept of just analyzing and counting data.
Okay.
It's a very simple concept. I'm going to close this, and this is kind of like in the extra reel of the tutorial. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but if you're like me and you want to take things a step further, which is how I kind of work.
So in other words, if you're a jackass,
exactly.
Click next.
Exactly. Otherwise, hit stop right now. Right now. You better. All right, fine. You're going to follow us. Good deal. All right, so I guess the first thing that we'll do, I'm going to undo this.
Okay.
So we have
the. So we generate all that stuff's fine. We close the stream. Okay. So after we close the stream, let's add a few lines in there.
All right. So it'll be right here. So first we're going to close.
Should we make a separate program to read all this?
It doesn't. It doesn't really matter.
So we'll just add a few lines here. And we'll do an in-file stream.
Okay, so
maybe let's change my stream to my in-stream.
this will be my out stream right here.
Oh yes, I'm sorry, my out stream.
We'll keep that just because it'll stay consistent with the code down here. So then we'll do what?
IF stream.
IF stream.
My stream. Oh, actually, let's do this. Let's do this after we close the out file stream.
Well, I'm just declaring it right now.
No, okay, that's fine.
This is just declaring it. So
All
I'm gonna do IF stream and then.
So then my in stream.
I'll just do in stream.
Okay. And then semicolon. And so now another thing that we can do. Let's get rid of those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So another thing we can do is after we close the file stream that we've opened with the out file, since we're going to be reading the out file as well.
Mm-hmm.
So now that this is closed, we'll open. So here's another way you can open a connection. You know, after you've already declared what the name of the connection is going to be.
All right.
So now we'll do in_stream dot open, and then in parentheses the name of the file.
Aha!
So that way we're not, you know, you can't really access a file to read it while you're accessing it to write it.
Right.
So we'll close the stream, then we'll open a new stream.
Now do I do this?
So yep. So this is going to be to out file.
So we're opening the file that we just created.
Right.
All right.
Okay. So after that, we'll want to we'll basically just want to read it line for line, and we'll create a counter. And if what we read, mod2 equals 0, we'll add 1 to the counter. So this will count how many times we come across an even number, and if it's half of a million, then it's pretty random.
Okay, so let's do something silly like this.
The further away from half of a million it gets, the less probable of being random it is.
We'll do int even, comma odd.
Okay.
Actually,
well, we can infer odd from that, so we'll just do even.
Okay, so then odd would be...
A million minus even is odd.
Yeah, a million minus... Get a smart guy over here.
So let's just do while the stream. If it's, I mean, with a million, if we have that one extra line, it really doesn't matter.
So we'll do while... This will be while in stream. So as long as there's data in the file, stay in the loop. Okay, so now that we have this loop set up, we're going to need to...
Get the first bit of data.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll pipe the data that we get into a temp variable. So we'll make a new one that's int temp. That works. Semicolon.
Okay, and I got to make sure I set even equal to 0.
Right.
This is getting kind of sloppy, but it's okay. It'll work.
Okay, so while this is da-da-da, so we'll store, so the first thing we'll grab, we'll store as...
Okay, so we're inside the while loop, and we'll do in stream, and this is in, right?
Yep.
Temp.
Yep.
So we're setting the value of temp equal to the particular piece of data it's looking at.
Right. So now that we're piping into the temp file, we'll now check to see if the temp file is an even number.
If temp mod2 equals 0, and I'm sorry, I forget who I'm working with here.
Yeah, I like my parentheses.
Brian is obsessed with parenthesizing everything.
Yes.
So if it's divisible by 2,
then we'll do even plus plus.
Even plus plus.
Which will append 1 to the even number counter.
Right. So what this should do, we have this beautiful little loop right here that should grab the piece of data, test the piece of data, and then increment the piece of data.
Right.
And then after the whole program is done, we can give the user...
the number of even numbers, the number of odd numbers, and the total number of numbers.
So we'll do total numbers equals...
like let's store an integer as the amount of numbers that we're going to do, the sample, if you will. So we'll just do int sample equals 1 million.
Okay, so what we're going to do is this million right here, we're going to knock that out.
Right.
So we're actually going to be setting I less to a variable.
Right. That way the program becomes more flexible. So if we want to change how many, like what our sample is, we could just change the number once and it affects the whole thing.
We could even have the user input.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do long int.
Okay.
And this will be sample.
Yep. And that's going to equal 1 million.
Equals 1 million.
So then where we had 1 million, we'll just put sample. All right.
Okay.
So that'll run through 1 million times, make it a little easier to change.
C out sample.
Right.
End line.
and then we'll show how many even numbers.
Actually, I'll just do this. Even.
And then
odd numbers would be sample
minus
even.
Mm-hmm. And then an inline, and that should give us how many even and odd numbers there are.
Okay, let's run this real quick. F9.
This might take a little while.
It's running.
Would
have been kind of cool if we put a timer in there. Where like we started this, ended this.
Yeah, we do have the time function. That didn't take too long. Okay, so that's actually a pretty even split.
That's
very really even. Not too bad at all. That's
wow.
Pretty close to 5, half and half. So I guess this random number generator, even though it is kind of predictable, you really can say, it does do an even distribution of numbers.
I'm doing that again.
Hey,
oh my goodness! Are those like the exact same numbers?
Yeah, probably is.
I gotta try it one more time.
Because or maybe they'll just vary a really small amount since the seed is based on time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hence the predictability of random numbers in C++.
That is true, because each time it was 499 something for either for one or the other. So since this random number is based on time, you can actually predict the amount of numbers that it will.
So it's kind of like taking the same random numbers it finds, but just kind of offsetting that pattern a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hope you had fun.
Hope you had fun. I had a great time.